Hey, what's up everybody? Landon with LMR.com. In this video, we're gonna be checking out 5.0 Resto's glove box door designed for the 1987 to 1993 Mustangs. This is a reproduction of the factory glove box door, and right off the bat, looking at the face of it, you'll notice the factory grain and texture. The 5.0 Resto glove box door has all the correct dimensions and tolerances, so comparing it to a factory piece, right on the money. And whenever you go to install it onto your glove box assembly, or the bucket, whatever you want to call it, it bolts or screws directly onto it. On the back side of it, we've integrated all the factory webbing and gusseting for some structure. It's going to come with the hinges, pins, and the E-clips already pre-installed. It's molded in black and currently only available in black. So for those of you with black interiors, no prepping or painting is required. But obviously for those of you that may have any other color than black, you have to prep and paint your glove box door, which we are going to show in this video. And we'll get to that momentarily. So other than the glove box door, we're going to give you all the necessary finishing hardware, I guess you could say. You'll get 8 of the self-cutting screws that attach the glove box door to the glove box assembly, as well as attach the latch to the glove box door, 2 of the large bumpers, and then 2 of the rectangular shaped bumpers. And then lastly, you're gonna get the 2 factory style screws that secure the hinges to the lower dash frame. Also would like to mention too, whenever we make reproduction parts, we look at it as a whole. If there's certain areas that we find could use improvements, we do improve upon those areas. And one of those areas I'd like to point out are the studs on the back of the glove box door themselves. These here, we actually oversized the inner diameter. So whenever you install the screw, you don't get any scarring on the stud, and you don't feel like you're going to break this off, because for those of you that have messed around with the glove box doors, mainly the factory one, you'll notice and you'll know that when you tighten these down, you'll kind of start to hear the plastic stretch and make some odd noises like, dang, am I going to break this thing? And I actually have an OEM glove box door here that we can show, and if you notice, like in this area right here, for that stud where the latch attaches, how that's cracked. You can see that crack as well. And this one here is actually in pretty good shape considering, but I think the reasons are obvious as to why you would need a new glove box door for your 87 to 93 Mustang. So moving along here, the car we're gonna be working on is our 1988 convertible. This is the one that we've kind of dubbed Introvert. For you old school guys that have followed us for a while, been around the channel, y'all probably remember this car. Yes, it needs more than a glove box door. Y'all probably hear me say that a lot. It's one of those things where some progress is good progress, and kind of every little part we do along the way, before we know it, we have a fixed car. Like I said, this here, it's an 88. The interior color for this car is sand beige, so that's the color we're going to paint this glove box door. So let's jump over to it, and we'll go ahead and get the factory glove box door out. Okay, so securing the glove box assembly to the lower dash, it's at the 2 hinges like we discussed earlier. And in factory form, it's either going to be a T20 Torx driver, or you can use a 7mm nut driver. Like many Fox bodies, they're taken apart, they're put back together, and a lot of times the correct screws and fasteners don't make it back where they go, and somebody actually used Phillips head screws to secure this glove box door in place. So we're going to just back those out. I'm leaving the glove box attached. We'll release the latch here once we get the screws out. And whenever you look up under here, you'll notice the 2 screws securing the 2 hinges to the dash. It's very obvious. Okay, so now we'll pull our latch. It'll roll down. We can squeeze the 2 sides inward, like so. And then we can pull it out. So here on the bench, we're gonna have 6 screws retaining the glove box door to the bucket, or the assembly. You're gonna have 3 on the inside here, and then you're gonna have 3 underneath. Looks like somebody's painted this before too, because these screws are painted. This is why we mask things off, people. It's probably good to mention as well, these hinges. We sell these separately with the pins and the E-clips. So if you did have a good glove box door, good factory door, you could just buy the replacement hinges, scuff this and spray it the same way you're gonna see in this video. All right, get these last Phillips head screws out of the way. And then we'll just separate the bucket from the door, Got to kind of feed it past your latch right here, just like so. On your bucket, you'll have the rubber bump stop right here. You're supposed to have one here. And then the two rectangle ones installed in these little notches right here, and those just easily pop out. And then for the round ones, you can either push it through from the back side, or you can just kind of roll at an angle, and those kind of just roll right out. Okay, we'll set this aside as we'll clean it up. But now the latch is just 2 Phillips head screws that secure it to the glove box door. So we'll remove those. Okay, we'll set this aside. So the next step, if you want to, really no particular order how you do this. You can go ahead and you can clean up your bucket and get all the dirt, crud, and nastiness. That one's pretty simple. Use a plastic safe interior cleaner with like a boar's hair brush and some microfiber towels. You can get this cleaned up. We won't show too much of that. That one's pretty obvious, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. All right, I got the bucket cleaned up. We'll let this air dry, and by the time we're done doing all the other stuff, this will be nice and dry, and it'll be ready for reassembly. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and switch gears to the 5.0 Resto glove box door. We're gonna get it prepped and painted. Where we'll wanna start, we'll wanna start right here with the E-clips, securing the hinge pin in place. You can use like a flathead screwdriver, a small pick, something that's gonna, just don't lose it. Do as I say, not as I do. It may work best if you push down. That way if this thing gets out of hand, shoots off of there, you know, you'll have a little catch or a little stop. So once you remove both your E-clips, set those guys aside, and then we can slide these pins out. Just make note of the orientation of your hinges. If needed, take a picture of how they go. Just for reference, write it down, whatever you'd like to do. But we're gonna go ahead and slide these pins out. You may need a little bit of persuasion from the flathead to kind of get it past the initial plastic area here on the door. Yeah, there we go. Set those aside. Same thing over here. And I'm actually gonna lay these out in the orientation of which they go. That way I know when I go back together with them that that's the orientation. All right, so what we're doing here, it's not very sudsy, but we've got some dish soap and some warm water, gray Scotch-Brite. We're not hardly using any pressure. We're just letting the weight of your hand holding the Scotch-Brite. I'm not pushing. We're just letting this do the work. And we're just gonna scuff the face of the glove box door really well, get any mold release agents and things like that off. Get the little pocket area here, recessed area where the latch handle is. Make sure you get your edges really well. If you wanted to just lightly hit the backside, you can. But for what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut the part in. Basically, we'll start on the backside. We're gonna spray the edges first, and then we'll flip it over, and then we'll spray the face of this. If you're one of those guys or people that feel like you gotta paint the whole panel, by all means you can paint the whole panel, front and back. It's just you won't see the back once it's installed onto the vehicle. All right, we'll give this a wipe, and then I'm gonna glove up with some nitrile gloves. That way I don't transfer any of my oils from my hands back onto our clean surface. So, all right, so you could probably see the color change. It's a lot less shiny because we've knocked down some of that those mold release agents from the surface. So I guess for any of you that may be installing this straight away into a black interior, you may wipe the surface with your plastic safe interior cleaner, and that will help remove those mold release agents as well. So like I said, I'm just gonna wipe the face of this, the sides really well. And then if you wanted to hit this with your alcohol, you can, just to further, or if you're gonna be painting the backside, just to get all those mold release agents off of the backside as well. Don't be afraid to hit it twice. For those that know, A good paint job is all in the prep. And you don't want to start shooting your paint and it starts fish-eyeing because you got oils on the surface or contaminants on the surface still. Glove box door is prepped. We have a couple options when it comes to paint and preps on ABS plastics. So here, this is sand-free adhesion promoter. This is designed specifically for, I believe ABS and PVC are similar plastics. This is ABS. Whenever you spray this, it softens that top layer. You can go right over it with your color coat. And what that does is that actually helps, when this starts to evaporate and flash, the surface draws in the pigment from your paint, so you get a lot better adhesion. I would definitely recommend the Sim Sand-Free Adhesive Promoter. I've had really good luck with this, and I really like this when I'm spraying, ABS and PVC are similar plastics. I'm going to use the Sim Sand-Free Adhesion Promoter and then a few coats of our sand beige interior paint. So no masking is required. Like I said, there's no intricate areas to mask here, so we're going to hop outside in the warehouse and we'll get going with spraying our glove box door. All right, I almost forgot. We need to spray the handle on the latch mechanism. I believe this is pretty simple to remove. I haven't really dealt much with these, so y'all are going to see this live, I guess, see me mess up. Okay, so executive decision time. I don't want to break anything, so I'm just going to spray some cleaner on here. We'll clean it up. Which it needs to be clean anyway. And then we'll use some compressed air to blow out the nooks and crannies. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mask this off on the latch and we'll spray it directly installed onto the latch. Okay, we'll wipe this clean and I'll run it over here and grab some compressed air. What I'm doing here, I'm just kind of taking our Scotch-Brite. You can also use lacquer thinner. You just got to be careful with lacquer thinner. You don't want to damage the plastics. But I'm just kind of micromanaging some of this overspray from a previous respray. Now we're going to scuff the handle itself because this is what we're going to spray. There's a lot of dead paint on here, but you just want to give this a good scuff with your gray Scotch-Brite in your solution. Warm water dish soap. Okay. Wipe this with our alcohol. And then we'll get it masked up. All right, I'm just gonna start taping all the critical areas that I can that we don't want sand beige paint in. May have to use like a flathead or something similar to kind of work it down into the cracks and crevices and stuff. So instead of taping off all of the intricate areas, what could also work is some aluminum foil. You can kind of tear this into the size that you need, and you can kind of get up under here and wrap the foil around and kind of compress it to all the little intricate areas. It conforms a lot better than most other means of masking material. So just for safe measure, we'll wipe that one more time with some alcohol, and then we're ready for paint. To paint the glove box door and the latch, you'll obviously want to work in a well-lit and well-ventilated area. So we're going to go ahead and cut in the part first, and we'll take some of our sand-free adhesion promoter and spray the perimeter of the glove box door. You want to apply a medium wet coat of the sand-free to the perimeter, and then you'll immediately follow that with your top coat. Of course, before you do this, make sure you shake your top coat well. So working about 6 to 8 inches from the surface, you want to go ahead and spray your top coat. You want to apply this lightly, as if you spray it medium to heavy with the sand-free adhesion promoter, you could risk sags or runs. Depending on your ambient conditions, the first coat will easily flash in 5 to 10 minutes. After that, you can repeat this as necessary until adequate coverage is achieved around the perimeter. You'll then flip the glove box door over to the face and you'll repeat the process. You'll spray your sand-free adhesion promoter and follow that up with a light coat of your interior paint. Allow adequate flash time and then apply enough coats as needed to achieve adequate coverage. In order to get good coverage in the recessed area for the latch handle, you may have to hold the can a little bit further away and dust that area with your interior paint. Don't go too heavy, as you'll start to get buildup in certain areas. After that, you can kind of give your glove box door an entire once over and spray any areas that you may have missed. Once you're happy with your results, be sure you give adequate cure time for the paint, which typically is about 24 hours. Okay, so we're done painting. I always like to place a microfiber towel down and then place my parts on top of that. We're gonna go ahead and reassemble our glove box door onto our bucket or the compartment. One can easily did this glove box door. I probably had about a half a can left, and this was probably 5 coats of paint, and you can see how well the sand beige covered over the black. We'll also unwrap our latch assembly. Okay, so we'll position our latch back into place. Okay. All right, so we'll get our latch back in. We'll take 2 of our new screws, make sure the latch is fully seated. And we'll go ahead and run these down. These do not have to be tight, you just want these snug. Do not over tighten these screws or you will risk breaking that stud off or stripping it out. Okay, then we'll inspect, make sure we've got proper articulation, and we do. Now we'll resituate our compartment. Like I said, you'll have to get this little small area past the latch. Kind of just push it into place, just like so. Get those screw holes to align. Now what I like to do on all these, since there's 6 of them, I like to get them all started, run them down till they're almost tight, but we're gonna leave them loose until we get all 6 of them started, and then we'll come back and fully tighten them. All right, we got them all loosely started. Now we can go back through and tighten them all up. So you just want to run these down. You just want them snug. All right, now we'll take our rounded bump stop or our bumpers. You notice it's got like a little rectangle shape here, or oval, rectangle, whatever you want to call it. We'll position kind of one side in the hole there, in the compartment, and then we'll take a flathead screwdriver and we'll just carefully push that into where it goes, and then you can work it the rest of the way in by kind of rotating it back and forth, and we're good to go. We'll repeat this for the other side. Get one side in, push the other side with your flathead. Kind of give it a little back and forth rotate, good to go. And then your rectangle ones, these are supposed to be black. They have a mold release agent on them. If you want to wipe that off, you can. Just use your isopropyl alcohol, and that'll get that mold release agent right off there. And the rectangular bumpers, these easily install on the side right here. The glove box door hinge. So we'll get these resituated into place. Now these E-clips are gonna be kind of tricky. You're gonna have to use a small set of needle nose pliers to kind of work this back onto the pin. And you may rub some paint off when you do that like I did, but that's quite all right. All right, do the same for the other side here. While we have our glove box door out, we're just gonna clean this area with our plastic safe cleaner. So now what we can do is reinstall our glove box assembly. And what I like to do is I like to position it into place, so you'll kind of just either squeeze the 2 sides inward or just kind of go at an angle and position it. So I like to go ahead and latch it because you actually have some position, a little bit of clocking here. So you'll take your factory style screw here, 1020 Torx, 7mm nut driver. Like I said, folks, it's kind of tough to see once you get them started. You can run these down with your 7mm nut driver. Okay, and same thing as the retaining screws for the latch and the glove box door. You just want these snug, don't over tighten. And then look at there, you're finished. So I hope y'all enjoyed this one. This is a really good piece. It's kind of all inclusive. Like I said, we give you the screws, the glove box door, as well as the rubber bumpers. So if you have a black interior, you can take it out of the package, install your bumpers, remove your existing door, install the new door, you're done. And then of course, if you have any other color than black, you obviously follow the steps to paint your glove box door as well as your latch handle. So hope y'all enjoyed this one. Really do enjoy shooting all these videos for you guys. And as always, hope you found value. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on notifications. That way you're notified every time we release something new. And until we see you in the next video with the next great restoration part for your Fox Body Mustang, y'all know what to do for all things Fox Body. Keep it right here at the Real Enthusiast, LMR.com.